I saw your interview with Pavel, and I'm a big kettlebell freak.
Are you really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I started researching him after you had him on, and I love history, so I was thinking, why did the Russians come up with this? And it turns out they used it as a counterweight at the farmer markets. So they would say, you come in, you have to say, this is how much potatoes you're buying. But instead of trying to do it by eyeball, they would put what is now a kettlebell on one side of the scale and then the produce on the other. And then at the farmers' expeditions, you had these big Russian farmers who want to show how strong they were. So they would pick them up and do all kinds of displays with them. And then the Russian army took it on, the Soviet army took it on, and then that's where Pavel picked it up and then brought it over the Atlantic and introduced it to America.
Wow, that's crazy. So it was just accidental that they made this very functional tool for fitness?
Yeah, it was just, you'd go to a farmer's market, you want to buy some barley or some potatoes, but you don't know if you're actually getting the real weight. So they'd have a scale, a balancing scale, and they'd put the kettlebell on one side and the produce on the other, and then you knew you got the right amount. And then, of course, they have these big farmers, farm fairs, and they're showing off their horses and their cattle and stuff, and they'd want to do strength displays. So these farmers are throwing these things around, and the Russian military picked it up, and then the Soviets, of course, took over, and they took it on. And then Pavel, I think he was a Belarusian, though, if I'm not mistaken, Pavel.
I'm not sure.
And he brought it over to North America. But the ancient Chinese did it as well. You got
really?
Yeah, the ancient Chinese, the Shaolin monks have used them, but they didn't do it with cast iron. Theirs were sort of a concrete block, and they did it for strength training as well.
Oh wow, little history.
Yeah, so I'm a big kettlebell freak. I love it, and I started to study what Pavel's teaching. I think he has an accreditation or something. If I ever get time, I might take it.
Yeah, Strong First. Yeah, that's his organization.
And you have a whole program. I think you do clean to press, and then
I do a bunch of different things.
Squats with overhead squat and all that.
It's a great functional tool just for your whole body.
Right.
It's really one of the best pieces of exercise equipment I think I've ever found.
Yeah, I think he calls it a cannonball on a handle.